Our next print podcast segment has me trading in my pastry-themed shirt for my favorite wine glass, ready to raise a toast to all things wine. I'm certainly no sommelier, but I sure enjoy the occasional bubbly and discovering new flavors. So whether you're a seasoned wine lover or just someone who enjoys sipping something fun, there's a lot to explore today. If you're in the Smith Mountain Lake area, you've likely heard of SML Fine Wines, your go-to spot for curated selections of exceptional wines from around the entire world. They've built quite the reputation as a trusted source for both connoisseurs and casual drinkers alike. But what's even more exciting is how they continue to innovate and share their passion for wine with the entire community. Joining me today is Ryan McFeely, the owner of SML Fine Wines, who's here today to share more about his journey and some exciting new offerings. From tastings that elevate our appreciation for wine to exclusive events that bring people together, Ryan and his team are crafting memorable experiences for everyone who walks through their doors. Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hello.
Fantastic to have you. Can't wait to learn more.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. It sounds like you just did my job for me.
Well, no, you're going to tell me all about it and educate me plenty because
Right.
I know very little about wine except that I enjoy drinking it. So
Yes.
I'm excited to chat more with you. And this is a great foodie episode, desserts and wine. There's literally nothing
wonderful.
better I could talk about. It's great.
It's a good time of year
It's a
for it.
wonderful time of year. So I've heard wonderful things about your shop. I'm really excited to learn more. So I'm curious about how this got started because, what made you decide you were going to do this?
Well, it's a long journey. I won't bore you with every detail, but I didn't wake up one day as a teenager and
No?
say I want to own a wine shop.
Well, make you a special teen, I guess. But
So I kind of came up in this fine wine world in the restaurant industry, fine dining restaurants. And I worked my way up from the bottom as just a server, not even a full-blown server, one that kind of assists and follows along, a back server, and then transitioned and kept transitioning. And the owners of that restaurant happened to be such incredible professionals at what they do and highly respected around the world. So they would take trips to Europe and then include me on them.
Wow.
And at that point, and they were all wine-centric and Michelin restaurants.
Oh my
That's sort of
gosh.
how it went.
I'm pretty jealous.
So I fell in love at
Yeah.
that point. I said, this is much more than it seems. It's actually a really, really amazing kind of feeling and just overall a wonderful sort of environment to be around fine wine. It goes pretty deep. It's cultural. It's family driven. And then I flipped over to more of the supply chain side after gaining all that knowledge. Flipped over, did distribution, worked alongside supplier importers. But all fine wine focused pretty much. And then moved to Smith Mountain Lake. I'm originally from the Mid-Atlantic. So
Okay.
I was in Florida for a while and got sick of the heat and wanted my fresh air and the greenery. So
Well, we're
came
glad
back.
to have you, especially
Thanks.
in November as the weather is turning and it's so beautiful here.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
now you know it's amazing. And so I'd love to talk more about, it's cozy weather time. We're drinking wine by a fire pit.
Yeah.
I want to know more about those flavors. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in a
All
minute.
right.
But in thinking about, you have an amazing selection. You're talking about Virginia wines, but you've also, kind of hinted at the international flavors we're going to find. So when guests come into your store to visit, what are they going to find? How does that process even start, especially if you don't know maybe what you like?
Yeah, and what sets SML Fine Wines apart from many other retailers is that it's an education-focused experience.
Cool.
No matter how casual it is in the moment, you're learning the entire time. So I try to work with my employee and myself, kind of pushing myself every day to ensure that everyone who comes in is being spoken to with respect and at the same time learning without even realizing they're learning.
Oh, sneaky. I like it.
Sneaky. Yeah, sneaky. So we divide the room up by Old World and New World, which is Europe, basically, and then South America, North America, Australia.
Okay.
And South Africa sometimes plays in both by flavor profile. But those are things you learn immediately. Just in the way the store is set up, they're learning. They're asking, what's Old World? And now all of a sudden they have this whole understanding of a word they never really understood.
Right. And Old
These
World
words-
doesn't just mean red wine from
No,
Italy, right?
no,
There's so much more to that.
Yeah, totally. And there are new styles of wine coming from the Old World. It's just a way of thinking geographically where wine origins came from.
You hinted at it already again, but like the amount of education that you have to go through, not just to have your role as a business owner, but the wine. I mean, like you said, there's new things coming through every day, even in the old world style. Like that's really something that your knowledge must be pretty expansive.
Well, that's a blessing for me because that, I didn't plan it this way, but learning the restaurant side of things, you learn the table side information, the most key product information about areas and regions and wine producers and vintages. And then all the schooling you can add to that. Sommelier, WSET trainings, all of that. And then you flip over to supply chain side, and now you're learning how to navigate the supply chain. Something that if you only have one or the other, it's going to be quite a significant learning curve for someone.
And I love that you kind of started at the bottom, and now you're at the top, like distributing these wines and figuring out. Yeah, I mean, you're like a Jay-Z song. It's great. But I love that, you really started at the bottom level and learned kind of your way up. I love that you were able to travel with these folks and really get the experience that not a lot of people get.
No.
That's really incredible.
No. Yeah.
5-star Michelin. I'm super jealous. That'd be awesome. So you've obviously been instrumental in shaping this vision. And so I'm curious about, again, now that you're here, like, how does that feel to be such an important part of the community, to be such an important voice in wine?
Yes. Stressful.
Yeah. That's fair. I understand.
No, it's great because Smith Mountain Lake is a beautiful area.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute because it really is such an incredible region.
Yeah, it's magical in the sense that there's all these small enclaves hidden around the lake, many of which even people living at the lake don't quite know all of them. And so that we're watching the whole community grow together and adapt to life together and sort of build and make it the way we want it. And that's the magic of starting out at Smith Mountain Lake. I can really hear each of my customers.
Oh, I love that.
Talk to each customer and then start adapting to what best suits them.
Yeah, that's great. And I love that you've noted that you sort of get to create, make it your own. I mean, the community is so tight-knit and so supportive. And so that's really great. And I mean, what could be better than like getting ready for a day on the lake with your bottles of wine? Like
wine,
you're already setting up my weekend for me. And so, what does it mean for you to see your hard work recognized in the community? Because obviously Smith Mountain Lake has been supportive of you and they're coming out and they're trying to learn all about wine. Yeah. I mean, it must be great to be such an integral part of that.
Yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's because when you're around wine so long for so many years, you forget just how special it is, to have that special bottle. You forget all of that. You forget the smiles it brings to people when they give a gift that no one else is giving, So it's been humbling. And the learning curve has been great because you're learning personalities.
Sure.
And you're learning names, and you're memorizing families and what they like and don't like, and whose families live far away, who visit certain times of years. You're trying to catalog all that.
Yeah, you must have a secret Rolodex in the back with notes. Red, white,
Yeah. It's called the POS system and taking notes.
Well, that's all right. And so let's talk about, tasting, because I think that that's really critical. This, there's a joke to be made about you're just going to go in and, drink a bunch of tasting wine, right? Like what an easy thing to do. And it's not, because some of the flavors are, nuanced and can you taste that flavor and things like that. What is it like when I want to come in and figure out what it is that I want to drink? That day, that weekend.
Well, since you're talking about trying wine, on Fridays we do try before you buy.
Cool.
So that is where you come in and you try a lineup of wines, and then you can purchase them if you like, or purchase other things in the store. But the difference is, and to touch on what you just said, it's not just coming in, holding your tasting glass out and saying red, I do not do that. And anyone who comes to the store will tell you that it is a totally different experience.
Okay.
And in fact, we line people up around this gorgeous walnut table that Black Dog Salvage made for me.
Oh, then I know it's good.
I know it. And so while you're there, we're presenting and we're teaching you with big maps behind us.
Cool.
And we're walking through stories of the region, the winemaker, who his or her families are, and what their lineage is like.
I love that. You're not just giving them some wine and seeing how, does it taste good?
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
It's got to be different.
Yeah.
In order to make a statement in your mind so you remember.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You're offering an experience in addition to the flavor
That's
taste. Yeah.
the idea.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I don't know anything about wine, where are you going to start? Like, where do I even begin after I walk through your door?
Well, I guess I would ask you, do you drink wine?
Okay.
And
Yes.
Okay.
Enthusiastically, I might add.
All right.
Okay.
So I would immediately say you're probably not just a sweet wine drinker.
Okay.
Then. You've probably transitioned into drier style
Right,
wines.
right.
And at that point, we just start picking apart flavor profiles.
Cool.
Do you want something that's juicy and bright with really good acidity that makes your mouth water?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want something that feels luscious and full-bodied on your tongue and lingers in your mouth a while? Two totally different moods for two totally different things. And both could be occurring in the same evening. You could start with one and move on to another.
Right, because we've done,
meal.
plenty of restaurants offer the tastings with their courses. And so how do you pair, something light with a seafood or something bold with a meat, things like that. So that's really interesting.
So that's how we approach it at the store. Just like you would in a restaurant, where you're making sense for them
because
of
of
what
your
experience
experience.
they want. Yes. So it is about them. It always is. It's not like this is for sale, buy this. It is not like that at all.
And I like that it's sort of an intimate, like a one-on-one experience that your guests are going to go through to make sure that it's something that they like and not just, I like a red, I guess that this will do, Like that's really important to get what they like. And then they want to come in, maybe explore a little more and try something a little different. Yeah.
And we keep a catalog of what everyone purchases under their profile. So when they come in, inevitably they will not remember the French or Italian label that has 20 words in it.
Right.
So I just look it up and we talk about which one and what day they came in, and we find the wine and we can purchase it again, order it for them, and build off of that.
That's smart. I love a customized experience. It makes me feel special, but also like you and I are forming that connection.
Yes,
so such a good business owner. You're so smart. So let's talk about the community again, going back a little bit to that, because, you're now that you've been open, now that you're working these relationships, you're clearly known for fostering connections through your wine. And so kind of curious about the support from local patrons. What do you love most about bringing people together over this shared love of wine?
Oh, it's the building of a community. I mean, it has become a meeting place for people. People who don't have someone to hang out with that night have started to navigate to us on Fridays and meet other people. It's an extremely immersive and inclusive group that comes to the shop, and it keeps growing. Yeah. And it is shocking to see how everyone introduces themselves. There could be 30 people there at one time, and people are like, hey, meet my friend so-and-so. I'm so-and-so. And it just sort of blossoms into this, let's go there on Friday nights and just learn, sip on something that's great, and then plan our weekend out.
I love that so much. Like, it's not just you're going to run in, grab your one, and pop out. You can certainly do that if you need to, but like that you're looking for, you're going to make friendships there, Like, I think that's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really lends to the community vibe.
It does. And then it helps build the community. Yeah. Think about all the wine dinners people will host at their house and say, so everything just becomes elevated, is basically what I'm getting at.
And we've bought local from our local shop just down the street, even though it's a global flavor. It's an international wine.
And it's not expensive.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be expensive. Let me clarify that.
This is a good point. Yes, let's talk about that.
Up.
Yeah.
Fine wine, people think expensive wine, and that is not the case. These are wines that are produced in the old school manner. So the thinking that we're not manipulating the wine. We're letting earth give us the grapes, so our focus is going to be in the vineyard. Let's make sure that those plants are happy and that they're producing the most concentrated, well-grown crop that we can. And then winemaking, believe it or not, will take care of itself.
Really?
There are little things you can do to keep things within a box so it doesn't go crazy. But most of the wines in the shop are very hands-off wine producers. They're not adding additives. They're not putting in coloring. Yes, that is a thing. They are not adding wood chips to get oak flavor. They're using real barrels from a cooper to gain that flavor.
Right. That's so interesting.
Huge difference. That is what is meant by fine. And we have wines that are $12 up to hundreds of dollars.
Sure.
But there are plenty below 15
that
are great.
They're going to taste delicious,
right? They're delicious. You wouldn't know.
Well, so a good question for you, and I know that this is going to depend on like the day of the week, what you're feeling, but like what are some of your favorite wines from your shop? Like what do you drink if you're just looking for something easy on your night off or, you know, you're kind of hanging out?
Definitely sparkling wine.
Okay.
I'm a sparkling
All
guy.
right. I drink Prosecco all the time,
There
so
you
I'm
go.
I'm cousin adjacent, you
All
know.
right, there you go. So any sort of sparkling, as long as it's made correctly, I'm open to trying it and just exploring what that's about. And then depending on time of year, I mean, we could be real bright whites that are make your lips smack and water, or we can go real kind of opulent and full-bodied. But it depends on the time of year. I don't think I have one category that's my favorite, except for sparkling. I'll drink that all year long.
I love
and
that.
I suggest everyone do the same.
It doesn't just have to be the holidays for
No,
bubbly.
it's not just holidays.
You don't need a celebration. It's just Wednesday night, you know?
Wednesday's a celebration. Why not?
I
We're
love
at the
it.
lake.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a good point. You're at the lake in a beautiful setting. What more do you possibly need?
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, I think it's so interesting as far as, what you're doing with the tastings. And so we're kind of creeping towards the holidays.
Yeah.
And thinking about, are you doing some new releases? Is there specials that maybe you're offering to folks?
Yeah, this is a busy time of year
Sure.
for every shop, everywhere. But specifically at Smith Mountain Lake, the next big thing we have coming up is geared towards the holidays specifically. It's the Friday before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
When I walk everyone who comes through how to make sense of your Thanksgiving day via the lens of wine.
I love this.
So it's, what are you going to drink while you're preparing food and stressing out?
Yeah.
You don't want high alcohol, but you don't want water sometimes.
Yeah, have you seen The
need
Bear? That episode doesn't
something.
work out well.
So I walk people through those choices. Lower alcohol, easy to drink choices at the beginning. Then walking through that classic Thanksgiving meal.
Right.
And then after the meal, having dessert, something to sip on,
Yeah.
and then maybe something as a digestif. It's walking you through that entire experience that is the difference. So that'll be the Friday before Thanksgiving.
Okay. What a great concept, though.
I know.
Sorry, I want to talk about that for a
No,
minute
we can
because,
talk about that.
like Thanksgiving, you think of the turkey and the sides and all
Yeah.
that, but like, do people give that thought to wine as well as they should? And you're offering that opportunity to.
How many people out there, when they get stressed out thinking about it that day,
my gosh.
about people coming over, what am I
I'm
going
already
to wear?
stressed out about it.
What is mom or dad going to say about my house decorations this year? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
You automatically generally reach for something.
Right, and I know I'm gonna like it.
working. The people who do,
Right.
bless you, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
But those
we'll be
of
thinking
us
of
at
you.
home are stressing about other things.
We'll think of you while we're
So having that thought and being having intent to what you're doing
Yeah.
can really make things easier. Think
Yeah.
about how much easier your day would be if you already understood, I'm going to enjoy that while I'm getting ready. And my entire guest list is going to be blown away by
Yeah.
these, and it's already pre-selected, done. You've tried it. There is no thought you need to give to
I
it
love
that
that.
day.
It's something to look forward to, quite frankly. As soon as you wake up, it's
Absolutely.
like, I can't wait to open that delicious bottle later on tonight with all our friends and family. Like,
Yes,
what a great
100%.
concept. Okay, so that's the really cool Thanksgiving part.
That's the
but
Thanksgiving, and then we have Big Reds and Bubbles.
Okay.
So this will be our second annual Big Reds and Bubbles because we're only in our second year.
no, I love it.
And it's just what it sounds like. So you walk around. It's a walk around style tasting.
Mm-hmm.
We light it with all twinkle lights.
Hmm.
And then each table is going to have this year, 3 of them will be manned by winemakers or proprietors.
Oh, you're bringing them right to the source.
Oh, yes. We
okay.
have Nicolas Bauget from Champagne coming
Okay.
in and showcasing all his grower champagnes.
Couldn't get more
I mean,
legitimate.
Where else are you going to go
Nowhere.
and hang out with
Yeah.
an icon of the champagne world?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And he's going to be here, not New York, not Los Angeles.
He will be
like,
here.
so cool.
We also have Eritas award-winning Stephanie Douglas
Mm-hmm.
from Eritas Winery Petite Syrah. Amazing producer. Then we have Sky Devil with most of their proceeds or a portion of, go right back to help veterans because that is
Love it.
where the term Sky Devil comes from. And so all his wines are named after that.
Yeah.
And that's Jeff Goldberg. And he is going to be here showcasing all of his, and those are quite substantial wines. So
Side note, my husband,
Yes.
I know listeners are sick of hearing me say it, but my husband's a history teacher. He's super into history. I love this concept that like he could go in and like, I want a wine that relates to my interests. Like that's
Yes.
such a neat little
Isn't
like,
that something?
that's so cool.
So I'm excited to introduce the people at Smith Mountain
Yeah.
Lake to those producers. But then in addition, we'll have tables with wine professionals who are then showcasing bunch of different wines from Europe, America, Spain, Italy. It doesn't matter.
What a great event.
Outside of just the winemakers, you'll see also those.
Right.
Small bites. But it's really, again, about the wine. And people place their orders. Last year, everyone said that they really were able to either stock up things that they loved or buy all of their high-end Christmas gifts for executive friends, for bosses, colleagues.
Something for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Crazy.
And for teachers, too, just for the record.
Oh, teachers, yes. I mean, they have their own separate cult following of fine wine.
Yeah, bless them.
I can tell you all about it.
That's hysterical. Well, and what I really appreciate is, and I'm making an assumption here that maybe some of these winemakers have interacted, have met each other, have been to events together, or, some sort of interaction. But you are also bringing them together in a space where they can, conversate and engage.
Yes.
And I think that's important too. It's not just about your clientele, but the people that you're working with. You're offering them an opportunity to expand their network.
Absolutely. I mean, as a wine producer, if you're serious about wine, you need to sell the wine.
Right. You don't say.
You don't have a choice. Or you just don't exist anymore, except for your basement wine that you just make for your family. So this
I don't want to drink that. I got to be honest, Ryan.
Yeah, right?
I don't want that.
Times are tough sometimes. But they get to not only meet other wine producers, but what's more enjoyable to them is to have their eyes opened to an entirely new community that they did not know exist. I mean, not everyone's walking around the country saying, I love Smith Mountain Lake.
Right. You mean people in France don't know?
So this is a great way for them to say, I love that community. They loved my wines. We talked together.
Yeah.
And you will be surprised when I have winemakers in to do events. They will see those customers at their chateau and domain, wherever their countries are that they came from, because people fall in love.
Sure.
And get their card, line up a visit for them or their family, and then go. It has happened.
Like a magical fairy tale vacation.
What are the chances? Except you have the inside scoop.
That's
you
amazing.
know the winemaker and owner.
Right, now you're all friends. Like,
how cool is that?
Well, and I love that, especially like maybe the winemaker finds inspiration in speaking to you or to one of your guests.
Yeah.
Like just, they love that flavor profile and they don't offer it. Maybe I should offer it. I mean, just something like that is really inspirational. Yeah. I mean, your ripple effect is so much more than just the Smith Mountain Lake community.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I love this. Wine is my favorite. This is my favorite topic ever. And so talking about, so when you're not curating wine, when you're not busy working all your, your business relations, what are you doing around Smith Mountain Lake? Who do you want to give a shout out to? Who do you love shopping with, playing, going when you're, the lake is kind of an obvious one. Like if you're into water, you're in the perfect place.
You know what else? You know what I do? Well, I'm a family guy, so a lot of my time, in fact, all my time when I'm not doing the shop and working there, I am with my daughter.
And how old is she?
She is 11. She just turned 11.
Good year.
Yeah.
Good age.
So,
as they say in wine, ha, ha, ha. It's a good year.
Yeah. So I actually will give a shout out to her elementary school. I cannot tell you. My daughter requires some extra help, and to see a school rally behind one of their students and the family to ensure that nothing is missed just tells you about the lake and the lake community. So they do get a shout out, a huge shout out. I would be lying if I didn't say I got a bagel from the Bagel and I at least twice a week. So shout out to them because that's great.
Carbs and wine, my two favorite things.
Why, they just are perfect together. And the hiking. Going on hikes, walking the dogs, which we do not do enough. But I think those are the magical things of the lake if you're not on the lake proper. Right. Which I don't own a boat. So I'm not on the lake proper unless people invite me. But otherwise, just enjoying the nature, which is part of the reason we moved there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming from Florida and other previous places, was it a bit of a culture shock when you come up here and see the weather and, this beautiful setting that you get to live in every single day? And I know obviously hundreds of beautiful places in Florida or anywhere else, but
it's personal preference.
Yeah, but like you said, there's something magical.
Yeah,
about
there
the
is
lake.
Something magical. Yeah. Well, I think growing up in the Mid-Atlantic helps because I missed that.
Yeah.
I missed that. There's a difference to the air in places like this with a lot of forest and all 4 seasons. You can smell the transition. You can feel that transition of seasons. The air has a certain quality level to it. And I missed that. And so it's not quite a shock to come back
Yeah.
as it is a sigh of relief in
Right.
a way.
I love that.
To like be able to just be calm again.
Yeah.
And be in that.
And I bet you can taste it in the wine too.
Oh, yes. Everything's better at the lake.
Everything's better at the lake. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for being with us today. It's
Absolutely.
been such a pleasure, and hearing about your journey, the exciting things. This pre-Thanksgiving wine is such that event's going to be. I love this.
It's going to be great.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic. So, for those looking to elevate their wine experience, please be sure to visit SML Fine Wines and check out their offerings at smlfinewines.com or on their social media pages, Facebook and Instagram at SML Fine Wines. We will list those on our website, so you'll have some easy clicks to get to it. And don't forget to follow them on social media for the latest updates and events. And please be sure to go to their events and try their fabulous wines.
Every Friday.
I love that you can get from any price point, from any flavor, all around the world.
All around the world.
Right here in your backyard.
You got it.
Perfect. Thank you again for tuning in to our episode of From Print to Podcast, and to Ryan McFeely for being with us today.
Thank you
Such a
very
pleasure.
much.
If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and find out even more about your favorite local wines and dining experiences in our latest issue or over on our website at theroanoker.com.